Hello from all of us here at String Theory. And yes, it's me, Schrodinger's cat. I just want to say that I will be your guide through this strange world and help us find the answers to the big questions of life, the universe, and everything. Enjoy your flight.
Spoke with CBS News correspondent Mola Lenghi about the previously unsealed documents released on Friday night on Jeffrey Epstein.
Documents which have been long expected to be made public finally dropped, as we say, yesterday, about 2,000 pages of previously sealed documents. And these stem from a civil case that had been settled between Ghislaine Maxwell and Virginia Giuffre. It's a defamation case between these two. Giuffre is an alleged victim of Jeffrey Epstein, and Maxwell is an ex-girlfriend of Jeffrey Epstein, someone who has been accused of sort of being the right-hand man, so to speak, of Jeffrey Epstein, someone who recruited girls into the alleged sex ring, someone who was sort of the point person who directed young women who to allegedly have sex with, was kind of the chief operator, so to speak, of Epstein's alleged sex trafficking operation.
In court filings, Giuffre says that Maxwell recruited her while she was working as a locker room attendant in 2000 and was groomed to be a sex slave to Epstein, adding she was later directed by Maxwell and Epstein to have sex with many, quote, powerful men, including numerous prominent American politicians, powerful business executives, foreign presidents, and other world leaders.
News. That accused sex trafficker Jeffrey Epstein has died by suicide. The 66-year-old multimillionaire had been awaiting trial at New York City's Metropolitan Correctional Center. ABC's Stephanie Ramos is here following this story and has the very latest developments. Stephanie.
Sources do tell ABC News that Jeffrey Epstein took his own life. The exact timing and circumstances are unclear. The mega millionaire is accused of exploiting and abusing dozens of underage girls. He'd been on suicide watch in that New York facility. You'll remember he was found unresponsive in his cell last month with marks on his neck. Initially, investigators thought he'd tried to take his own life. They were then looking into whether he was assaulted by another inmate or if he'd even paid someone to beat him up.
Giuffre alleges that she was directed to have sex with British royalty Prince Andrew, former governor and UN ambassador Bill Richardson, and the former influential senator from Maine, George Mitchell. All three men have strongly denied the allegations.
Well, now we're going to experiment and we're going to try you with another guy and see how you go. So they sent me to an island with a professor, and I basically had to do what I did for Jeffrey for him. So it's very private. It's the perfect world for a billionaire getting away with what he was doing.
The attorney for Giuffre has put out a statement saying the denials of those accused of participating in Jeffrey Epstein's horrific sex trafficking operation are predictable and have long been anticipated. The truth will have the final word.
And former U.S. Senator George Mitchell is denying a claim from a woman who says that he was one of a string of high-powered men involved in Jeffrey Epstein's sex trafficking ring.
He could hold big parties there and have huge orgies there, and nobody would have any idea what was going on.
The mansion has a heated sidewalk, so snow and ice melts during the winter. Epstein's monogram, J.E., appears right here in brass on the doorway. And inside, beneath the stairs, there's a lead-lined panic room, like something out of a James Bond movie. Shantae Davis was a flight attendant on the jet known as the Lolita Express because it allegedly shuttled underage girls between Epstein's homes. She told Inside Edition Clinton did nothing improper on those trips. She says she made him peanut butter and jelly sandwiches, and Clinton took her shopping in Africa.
They had shut down a jewelry store for us, and I helped him pick out a bracelet for Chelsea.
been no shortage of media coverage of the Jeffrey Epstein saga, but one person involved has escaped scrutiny. Ghislaine Maxwell, Epstein's ex-girlfriend, who allegedly worked to recruit young girls for Epstein's harem. The attorney for one of his accusers actually called her out by name in a statement issued by their client. Let's take a listen.
After years and years of trying my best to shine light in the dark place of sex crimes that Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell and their circle of powerful people committed against me and girls just like me, finding the words adequate enough now to express how I feel is a tall task. But I can say without hesitation that I am deeply pleased that the federal prosecutors in New York have arrested Jeffrey Epstein. And our case is taken in a serious way. It is time for Jeffrey Epstein and those who participated in these sex crimes to be brought to justice.
That's absolutely correct that she had a very privileged lifestyle. She came from this elite British family, grew up in a 53-room mansion. Her family even had a yacht that was actually named after her by her father. And some of her friends included Prince Andrew, who ended up, as we know, becoming a frequent guest of Jeffrey Epstein. Now, this is all because her father, Robert Maxwell, is a name among media moguls like William Randolph Hearst or maybe Rupert Murdoch. He's just as big as those players. He owned tabloids, including the Daily Mirror. He had a stake in MTV Europe, and he's one of the most well-known personalities in the UK in the 50s and 60s.
This morning, Jeffrey Epstein implicated in new, stunning accusations pointing at several famous and powerful men. 2,000 pages of documents were unsealed in Manhattan federal court related to a 2015 defamation case brought by Virginia Roberts Giuffre against Ghislaine Maxwell, a longtime Epstein associate and British socialite.
Bill Cosby, who is now serving 3 to 10 years in prison for sexual assault, used to live in a townhouse directly opposite the mansion. There are 21 email addresses and contact numbers in the book for former President Bill Clinton, and he's speaking out today. President Clinton knows nothing about the terrible crimes Jeffrey Epstein is charged with in New York, a statement says. In the statement, Clinton acknowledges he flew 4 times on Epstein's private jet in 2002 and 2003.
These are accusations that were made by Virginia Giuffre, and they have been emphatically denied by the people who were named in these documents.
That was in one of those documents, which said that from many powerful men, including numerous prominent American politicians, business executives, foreign presidents, a well-known prime minister, and other world leaders. That's a quote from some of the legal documents that are unsealed.
The information came to light when details of a deposition given in 2016 were ordered unsealed by a judge. In it, Virginia Giuffre says Epstein kept her as a sex slave and she was sent to give massages or have sex with men, including Mitchell, former New Mexico Governor Bill Richardson, and Britain's Prince Andrew. But nowhere in the documents does she say she met Mitchell, only that she was to seek him out. None of the men named in the deposition have been charged with a crime in connection with the Epstein case. And the documents did not contain any corroboration or further details, though many documents remain sealed.
In these documents, we were expecting to learn names. It was told that powerful people, well-connected people would be named in these documents. And some names were brought to attention. Now, we have to remember that the names that are mentioned in these documents are people who Virginia Giuffre, again, the alleged victim of Jeffrey Epstein, these are names that she brought, she made public in her testimonies, in her interviews with officials. People like former Senator George Mitchell, former New Mexico Governor Bill Richardson was named. Of course, both men have denied any sort of involvement with Jeffrey Epstein, have denied any improper relationships with any of the women, including Ms. Giuffre, saying that they had never met Virginia Giuffre. Also, several other well-connected financiers, hedge fund managers, politically connected folks, all mentioned in the 2,000-page documents that were dropped. Again,
In an interview with the Miami Herald, Ghislaine described how she says she was trained.
Give Jeffrey what he wants. A lot of this training came from Ghislaine herself. And being a woman, it kind of surprises you that a woman could actually let stuff like that happen, but not only let it happen, but to groom you into doing it. I was young, I was scared, I knew these people were powerful. I didn't know what would happen if I said no. I didn't know what would happen if I reported.
From Epstein's private jet, nicknamed the Lolita Express, show a host of high-powered politicians, academics, and celebrities.
It's called Lolita Express for a reason. That was a vessel for him to be able to abuse girls and get away with it without anybody being alarmed or any alarm bells going off. It was all the same no matter where you went. All Jeffrey cared about was go find me more girls. To me, still to this day, it is my biggest shame that I carry around that I will never get rid of. And I'm really, really sad that I brought other girls my age and even younger into a world that they should have never been introduced to.
Also, something else to keep in mind, now that Jeffrey Epstein is dead, coupled with the fact that he really has no immediate family, there's no one to challenge any additional search warrants of any of his properties. And he has multiple properties, obviously. We know he's got the New York mansion, the Virgin Islands property. He's got the property in New Mexico. And so there's really no one left to challenge any search warrants if prosecutors decide to pursue additional search warrants of these properties. And it's said that there could be more evidence in his homes. What that may lead to, if they do discover more evidence, there could be more people charged.
The FBI raid on the mansion uncovered sex toys, a life-size female doll hanging from a chandelier, and hundreds of lewd photos.
I mean, at this point, Epstein has been the focus of the criminal investigations. Obviously, all the charges have focused on him, but there have been folks calling for more charges. Some of the victims have pointed to Ghislaine Maxwell as someone who, again, was the right-hand man, so to speak, helped orchestrate the alleged sex trafficking ring. No charges have been brought against her. So if more evidence turns up, that is something certainly that prosecutors would look into and want to pursue. And prosecutors have said that they are looking into perhaps pursuing more individuals, more uncharged individuals, especially as more evidence comes forward and more victims come forward as they continue to do.
Because it was so quiet and so protected. And it started with one, and then it trickled into two, and then so on and so forth. And, before you know it, I'm being lent out to politicians and to academics and to people royalty.
Roberts claimed in an affidavit the two of the men that Epstein lent her out to were attorney Alan Dershowitz and Prince Andrew, the Duke of York. Dershowitz and Prince Andrew have both denied any involvement with Roberts. A judge later struck Roberts' affidavit from the court record.
And I get a phone call from Ghislaine one day in Australia. I'm in Australia. I was like, how the hell did she just find me? Like, I've been out of their life for so long. What's going on? She's like, have you talked to anybody? Have you told anybody what's happened? Like, have you reported us or anything? And I said, no. I haven't spoken to anybody. Okay, good. You stay like that. You stay quiet. The next day, Jeffrey calls me with his lawyer on the phone, and he asks me the same questions. Have you talked to anybody? Are you going to report me? Are you going to talk to anybody?
Sources say there were dozens of victims. The teen girls were encouraged to recruit their friends.
It's so despicable. I mean, men in power, they get away with anything they want.
Epstein is already a registered sex offender. His attorney made a controversial plea deal with prosecutors back in 2008 for lesser crimes.
Breaking news this hour, officials say multimillionaire Jeffrey Epstein has taken his own life in a New York jail.
Yeah, Epstein pleaded not guilty in July. That was to charges of trafficking dozens of underage girls, some as young as 14 years old, forcing them to have sex with his powerful friends.
Right, and you can imagine, given the nature of this case, that social media certainly has already exploded with various conspiracy theories about what actually happened. How does a man on suicide watch in a federal prison cell kill himself?
He was on suicide watch. Apparently, he tried suicide a month ago. And somehow, golly gee, as we had him on suicide watch, he happened to commit suicide. They caught a tough break on that one. And all the rich and powerful men who he was connected to happened to catch a very, very lucky break on that one as well.
These are pages from Epstein's Little Black Book. They were first obtained by the website Gawker. They show numerous entries for the rich and famous: Donald Trump, actor Alec Baldwin, and singer Courtney Love. Page after page are headlined Massage Paris, Massage UK, Massage Florida. Below the cities, a list of first names with contact numbers.
The news that broke this morning seems incredibly suspicious, and that is that Jeffrey Epstein, who is obviously facing a number of different charges for sex trafficking and rape and a number of other things, was somehow found dead of suicide.
What may be the most surprising thing to me is that everybody believes Epstein was murdered. Okay.
There, everyone. We have some breaking news here. Jeffrey Epstein is dead. Jeffrey Epstein, of course, is the billionaire hedge fund manager who's hobnobbed with all the who's who of our leftist globalist elite. And what do you know? Epstein just up and went all Vince Foster on us, right? Vince Foster was the White House special counsel under Clinton that was also found dead of an apparent suicide. These guys really bumped themselves off, don't they?
All we have is anonymous officials stating that there was an apparent suicide.